When Valve chose "what you see is what you get" as their slogan for Subtick, they definitely shot themselves in the foot, and even that one probably missed. During the messy launch of CS2, a popular complaint was the AWP feeling off. So much so that the greatest to ever wield it at this point considered giving up the role entirely. Since then, it's been said a few times that CS is not an AWPer game anymore, which leads to two questions. Why is this the case? But also, is there any evidence that this is actually true, or is this just the CS community convincing themselves that they are feeling something?
You feel it?
Yes, I feel it.
That's the force.
Really?
Wow, it is really strong
Oh,
with
I've
you.
never felt any...
From my research, there are two main theories on why AWPers no longer feel as impactful. The first theory is simply that AWPing is more difficult in CS2. And for a little while after the swap from CSGO, this theory had a little merit. With the switch to Source 2 and the new tick system, hit reg issues were abound, and Peeker's advantage felt way stronger. Statically holding an angle was basically a death sentence. With most weapons, this is remedied by jiggling in and out of cover so that you are the one with Peeker's advantage, even though you are holding space, not taking it. And while this trick existed well before CS2, it used to be a way to squeeze out every advantage you can in a fight, but now it's a requirement for even the lowest level of players. But the one weapon you can't do this with is the AWP. So in the early days of CS2, wide swinging an AWPer had gone from a terrible idea to a pretty fair fight. And even if you could react fast enough, there were still plenty of moments where bullets seemed to just vanish. Sometimes these moments were issues with the game, whether it was hit reg related, subtick, or whatever. There were a lot of fights where players felt robbed of their frag. But other times these moments were the fault of the players, due to a change in the game, but it's not necessarily a mistake. In CSGO, when you fired your weapon in between ticks, the bullets would travel to where your crosshair was when the next tick began, meaning if you clicked halfway through a tick, you technically still had the remaining time of that tick to move your crosshair to the opponent. In CS2, with subtick, the bullet now travels to where your crosshair was at the moment of the click, regardless of where your crosshair is at the start of the next tick. This is especially relevant to flicks, so AWPers felt this change more than most. TLDR Dr. Seuss edition, when you click betwixt the ticks, your flick hit brick, not this prick. But even though in CS2 this change is technically more realistic and more responsive than Go, it was still a difference that players would need to adapt to. And even though we are talking about a couple of milliseconds difference here, the thousands of hours of muscle memory the pros had built with the AWP was suddenly making them miss. However, as CS2 was updated, the Peeker's advantage has been reduced, animations have been reworked, and I'm sure Subtick has had its fair share of tweaks as well. So the issues with the game that made AWPing harder are now gone, or at least significantly reduced, and players have had time to get used to the slightly different shooting. In the HLTV Top 20 list from 2013 to 2023, there was an average of 5.3 AWPers in each list. In 2024 and 2025, the list includes 6 and 5 AWPers respectively. This includes both Go veterans and fresh faces. So when it comes to the number of world-class AWPers we have in the scene, there really hasn't been a huge change since Go. The only possible sign that something had shifted in the meta was that for the first time since 2017, a rifler was the #1 rated player in the world. Of course, it was Donk, and I think he played a role in the AWP is dead theory too. He's broken the community's brains before. Remember when Zwei and Kiyosuke made the jump to tier 1, and when they weren't immediately gods, we all kind of snapped back and realized, oh yeah, rookies aren't supposed to be that good. When Donk entered the tier 1 scene, he was so sharp and so aggressive, and combined with the issues from the early days of CS2, it seemed to show a future dominated by riflers. But now that even more new faces have entered the scene, it's clear Donk was the exception, not the rule. So, as we get further and further away from the launch of CS2, the theory that AWPing became more difficult holds up less and less. The second theory for why CS no longer feels like an AWPer's game is its price, or MR12, depending on how you look at it. Due to the high price tag of the AWP, teams will often play early gun rounds with 5 rifles instead of the ideal 4 rifles, 1 AWP. In CSGO, waiting to get your hands on the AWP was an easier pill to swallow, as the longer games allowed teams to save up for AWPs more often in those final rounds of a half.
But with
much more utility to work with. Here he comes, 160.
Stop.
And even though in MR12 you can still get to that same healthy economy in the same time frame, the half or game is over before the AWPers can fully reap the benefits. If you take a look at the percentages of what weapons players get kills with before and after the swap to CS2, primary AWPers lose anywhere from 10 to 15 percentage points on their weapon of choice. The difference is made up mostly with rifles, as well as Glocks, USPs, and dualies, as pistol rounds now account for a larger percentage of rounds. Going even further, we can look at the rounds with sniper kills percentage stat, and see that for top AWPers, this stat also dropped by 3 to 5 percentage points. If you take Monacy stats from majors in CSGO, in a full 30 round game, there would be about 11 rounds where he gets a kill with an AWP. In CS2, he would get 6 or 7 rounds. Intuitively, you would think that if we lost 3 rounds going from MR15 to MR12, Monacy should theoretically only lose 3 AWP rounds as well, but instead he loses 4 or 5. My theory is this is due to the fact that in MR12, less rounds to play with means your team needs to build momentum, or win it back, faster than in Go, so you won't always have that extra time to save for an AWP. So really, it's not that CS is no longer an AWPer's game, it's that CS, or MR12, is no longer an AWPing game. When players who can wield it have an AWP, it's just as dangerous as it was in CSGO, but now the weapon itself is less common. I'm not certain this is an issue that needs to be solved, but if it's something Valve wants to look into, I think the easiest fix would be a price change for the AWP. As iconic as the $47.50 price tag is, lowering it to $4,500 may bring the AWP back into the spotlight, instead of being like slightly off center in the spotlight. 2 quick examples. CT pistol, you buy armor and lose. You save and lose next 2. As long as you or one of your teammates gets a kill in either of the 2 rounds, you'll have enough to glass cannon on round 3. T-pistol, you buy armor and win. Next round, you rebuy armor and get a Mac 10. If you get 2 Mac 10 kills, you have enough for an AWP and armor on round 3. Some might say this is too early in the game, but in my opinion, it still requires the teams to make a strategic choice. Going glass cannon or without util is inherently risky, so teams may still prefer to save the AWPs for later in the game. But lowering the price gives teams the option to take that risk to kickstart their momentum. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got on that. Hey man, that's great and everything, but when I said we gotta fix that big green, I was talking about the booger hanging out of your nose. Fuck.